What's up, fam? It's her Mix-a-Lot here again, co-founder of Femme House, with our second edition of Pass the Mic. I thought that it was impossible to top the first one, and yet here we are. It's Pride Edition. Happy Pride, everyone. I've got Coco and Breezy, the consummate hyphenates, DJs, creatives, designers, everything cool that you want to be. They are. I'm a huge fan. I have been from the MySpace days. I know a lot of you kids are watching like, what the heck is MySpace? But stay out of grown folks' business. Coco Breezy, what's happening? Thank you for being here.
What is up? First of all, I can't believe you've been here since MySpace because I really ride for the people that have been there since we were like 16 on MySpace. So I appreciate it so much.
Yeah, it means the world.
That you got to see us grow up.
I got to see y'all grow up, yo, and honestly, you know, like MySpace was sort of like an insular experience for me. And I didn't like discover many things, but you guys are one of the things I discovered. It was just like these fly Black girls with these fly ass glasses, just like being fly and quirky and like reminding me of me. It felt like coming home. It was really, really cool. So it's so wonderful to have watched you on this journey, to be in this moment with you right now. It's very humbling. I'm very grateful for it, and it's exciting stuff. So
thank you so much. I'm stoked. From you saying that, my day's made. For
Me
real.
too. My whole life is made.
what a beautiful start to the week.
Yes.
And that I ask everyone that I sit down and talk to, and it is, what did you want to be when you were growing up?
You know what's funny? So one, we knew we wanted to be entrepreneurs. We didn't know what that was because we were always into music, we were always into fashion, we were into a lot of things. But the first career is we wanted to be a hairstylist because we just grew up with all of our aunties doing hair. Like we grew up in the hair salon every Saturday. So we're like, okay, we're gonna have a hair salon, and that, right when we finish high school, we'll open up our own business. And then that changed. And one thing I always remembered is that we had this mix of fashion and music, but we were customizing glasses. And then on another note, we were also dancers. So we were dancing for local music artists.
Oh, wow.
And the way that we kind of got into production and DJing without trying was we didn't know any producers that would make our mixes for talent shows.
In high school.
Yeah, we were in high school. So we were like 16, 17, but we didn't know producers or DJs that could make our mixes for like our 5-minute mix talent show. So what we would do is we would go on the radio because we couldn't afford to get the CDs, and we'd have a tape and we record one song and then rewind it a little bit. And like if there was like a kick or a snare or a little part of another song, then we press record and then sit by the radio, wait for another song to play. And then we would have a whole like fire mix for our talent shows.
Yo, that is so dope, because I remember I didn't need it for any purpose other than just like my own entertainment. But I remember devoting hours, bro, sitting in front of my AWA, recording 92.3 The Beat. I'm from Los Angeles. Theo's Drive Time radio show, and just like, I got to get this transition right. And it is like, like foray into like DJing, but that's so real. That's funny as hell.
Yeah, so we knew when we were younger, we were like, if we ever become DJs, we're gonna be called the Double Mix Twins. Like
that didn't happen.
That didn't happen, but that was like some childhood stuff. So we knew we were gonna be DJs and get into music, and we also knew that we were gonna have a business in the fashion space, but we didn't know exactly what it was.
I think the biggest thing we always knew, and I feel like we've had this feeling since we were born, we knew that we were gonna break the generational curses in our families, and that we have to figure out this path on our own, because everything that we're doing, there's no one in our family that is doing what we're doing. And so that is one strong feeling that we've always had since we were kids.
Ashe, that leads me to my next question. And this is actually specific to you guys. You talk a lot about your father and how you guys are Black and Puerto Rican, and your father grew up in Jim Crow South, which is sort of like, you know, like there is no entree to creation, like, which actually necessitates creating, right? Because there's no pathways to the systems that are set up to shut you out of, which I think is like sort of like a running theme in y'all's works. And like, you know, like, no one will give you a seat at the table. I'm building my own table.
Yep.
So when you talk about generational curses, and like sort of just like recreating your own reality based on a reality that heretofore you've been shut out of, that resonates. I think it's like the coolest thing ever, and it's the same tip that I'm on. I think it's a lot of sort of like creators of color on the same wave right now, especially
Yeah.
specifically from our generation, which is how you chip away, right? Like,
Totally.
yeah, I'm always telling people to build outward with their friends, and not try to build upward. It's just like,
Mhm.
and that's exactly sort of what you guys stand for. And how is that sort of belief shaped like where you are right now in this moment with your luxury eyewear brand? Isn't that wild to hear?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so wild to hear. It's so wild. I think that Coco and I, we've done so much self work to be able to go through challenges and to be able to get so many no's and be able to still work past it. And so we feel like what our like purpose is on this earth is to be able to go through the path so that our peers don't have to work as hard as we had to work.
Hmm.
Because other cultures, specifically non-black people, they don't have to work as hard. Everyone has the same level of work. But then with us and our people, it's so easy. If you work so hard to get there, you assume like, well, I worked hard to get here. You have to do the same thing. But in reality, it's about community. It's about breaking those barriers. If you break a wall, right, it's already broken down and it makes space for everybody else. And that's how we look at our path and our journey within us, and even producing house and dance music, with us creating eyewear and being the first black owned eyewear company in Nordstrom's, and being the first black eyewear company in almost 400 of the stores that we're in. It's like we don't mind being the first, but we don't want to be the only. And so that's why we're not stingy with our knowledge. We're not stingy with
The
access
resources.
and our resources. We're actually extremely generous with it, especially for our people, because we feel like it is our job and our duty, because we have a privilege to be in the rooms with super important people. So it's like if we have that privilege, it's our job and our duty to create that space for everybody else. And it's almost wild to even think about having a father that grew up during segregation who didn't have freedom. And then boom, it's us. Like we really had to create this shit ourselves.
And really figured it out. And I think the hard part was to like unlearn the things that were ingrained in him that naturally got ingrained into us, which is like the trauma that comes into somebody that had to go to an all black school, or that had to, drink out of a water fountain that was black or white, or that couldn't just freely go to the ice cream shop and go buy ice cream and sit down inside. He had to order outside. It's like that was who raised these girls.
Yeah.
We had to like unlearn the things that he was ingrained and learn that he didn't know that it was trauma, but we're able to see like, oh wow, you think this way because of how you were raised. And we had to unlearn and unpack, and we're still unlearning and unpacking. And actually, last week I came into this reality that I'm about to start stepping into my power.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
What does that look like when y'all are already powered up, yo? Like, is the world ready?
So it's crazy. So we are powered up, but like we used to be really shy and kind of quiet into ourselves. Like we would walk into rooms and be like we look like we're not shy, but then like be kind of scared to talk to people. But
we took advantage of people coming up to us who like saw us interesting,
so they would come to us first.
So now imagine if y'all thought we were killing it. It's about to get crazy, because now we're finally stepping into our power and we're breaking those traumas. Like we're recognizing our childhood traumas, we're recognizing our generational curse type of traumas. And I feel like we're just about to do it for our ancestors. That's what type of time we're on. Because our
ancestors they've been talking to us. And they're like, y'all need to
they're on our backs. And we actually feel it.
Oh my God.
Like I actually feel it. They're on our backs right now. And we're about to just make them proud. For real.
This is too on. Like we've been talking for 5 minutes and it's just like, this is like my therapy for the week. I'm still going to go to therapy this week, but like everything that you're saying is so important at the very least, but it's resonating in a way that you have no idea about. Well, we're on camera and shit right now, so we can offline about it, but I'm excited to see what you and the ancestors have in store. I'm excited to see you power up. A lot of what you're saying sort of goes to the heart of you know, why I'm here and like why this organization exists. Like we started this initiative called Pass the Mic to share resources, to share access, to lend our platform to our community members, and sort of like lift them up as we climb this ladder that we're on. So, you know, I see you on that, and it does, you know, specifically for Black people, right? Like, um, the resources that we're given are so scarce, right? And like to that end, we all typically have a scarcity mindset.
Yeah.
Um, but we talking abundance over here, baby. Like, you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
And you know what's crazy? So I actually just spoke to a spiritual healer about 2 months ago, and she told me I still live with the scarcity mindset, and I was living like that. And I was like, and the thing is, I had this fear because when we first started our company and moved to New York, we moved to New York with nothing, and like we had to take care of our dad full time before he passed away. We had so many responsibilities, and she was like, "You still live in scarcity. Get out of that. You don't need to do that." So now that I'm and that's just like the trauma. Now that I'm taking that away and then my experience last week and I'm just like being like, you know what, I'm just gonna do me. Like y'all aren't ready.
No, I can tell I'm not ready, but I'm so damn ready.
And something else that a quote that I learned a few days ago was like, we as Black people, we've had to resist. We were taught to resist for everything. So it's like, I'm going to stop resisting. And if I'm in spaces that don't understand me,
Find a new one.
then, you know what I mean? Like, I'm going
For
to be
sure.
comfortable with like finding the spaces that actually appreciate us and appreciate the power that we have. And
We've been holding
we've
back.
been holding back, and we were taught to hold back. Like with the systemic racism, they taught us to hold back, hold your powers. And I'm not holding my powers anymore.
Yo, I feel you on that. I think one of the powerful things there for me is like when you approach business as an outsider, right? As like a part of a marginalized community, that can't help but imbue everything that you do with great purpose and sort of like creating a safe space, not just for you and your work and your power, but for other people like you that feel like they're on the margins, that feel like they're existing in the shadows, that feel like the black sheeps of whatever industries that they're in. Um, and so when we address that in ourselves, right, we're able to therefore better equipped to address our community in the same way. Um, how does that impact like your hiring and stuff like that? I know that you said like you guys aren't stingy with resources and that you're open and generous with sort of the avenues that have been provided to you. How does that sort of inform the sort of creatives that you attract and therefore the work that gets done and comes out as a result of that?
Yeah, you know what's crazy? We attract, I think that the people that come to our company to work with Coco and Breezy Eyewear, we attract the people that are like us.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so interesting because, you know, one thing for us is that we look at resumes, but it's we don't care if you have a college degree or not.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's
We don't have a college
we don't have a college degree. So what do we look like judging
Right.
somebody having a college degree? We look at what's your experience.
Sure.
I mean, there are some people that, you know, depending on what the position is, there are some people that we need experience that's super, you know, high in experience, or you have those people that haven't had that much experience, but they're extremely passionate and they're willing to learn, but they just didn't get the access to the experience. So most of our employees now started off as like some of them were all they were all interns. Most of them were all interns that got hired and they're like badasses now.
Yeah.
One of our employees who's like our right hand person now, she's kind of like handles like pretty much all the administration stuff for Coco and Breezy Eyewear. She started off as a personal assistant.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because we see things in people and people saw things in us.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that like when we first started, people could have looked at us, they did look at us and they're like, who are these like crazy creatives that look punk rock? But then there were some people that saw the vision though.
Sure.
And for us, it's so important to like see the vision. Mm-hmm. And I mean, even with we had an intern that their pronouns were he, him, but they cross dressed, and that was what the term that they used. So they loved wearing dresses and makeup. And he asked, he was like, "Can I dress like this to work?" Because I was never allowed to. I'm like, we have a very strict dress code. Come as you are. Don't come that you don't want to come in, otherwise you're not going to work right. Mm-hmm. And And he said that that was the best work environment he's ever been in because he got to show up into a space that he got to be himself.
We even had an employee that he had a disability and he also had a stutter, and he said that employers never took him seriously. We gave him a position. He was our bookkeeper, and we also, whenever he would have ideas
For
for creatives, we have that company culture where just because you're a bookkeeper, we're not going to ignore you. We're going to also be open minded.
For
And
sure.
he said he never felt comfortable with his stutter to and his disability to work in a work environment. And but we create an environment where everyone's welcome. So I think the cool part about our company culture is that we don't have a checklist to say like, oh, we need someone with disabilities, we need people from the LGBTQ community, we need Black and brown people. We just attract
those people.
our people. It's all our people.
It's your
We
people.
Them.
We attract
Yeah.
people that, I mean, we've always thought we were nonconformists, and we attract nonconformists.
Mm-hmm.
And somehow it's just they just come, and I feel like they're just welcome. They're like, come to Coco and Breezy world. Come
Yo,
to
if you build it, they will come. You feel me? Like,
if you need help, we'll nurture you. Come on.
Yeah, it's all love.
yeah, for sure. I feel that one of the like sort of base principles of Femme House is sort of empowering people to be exactly the thing that they're supposed to be. And a lot of that starts with a very basic idea of seeing yourself, right? Like visual representation for that reason is super important. Which is why I think like, you know, like we talk about diversity a lot and it's almost like sort of like a watered down buzzword at this point. But yes, diversity of thought, diversity of perspective, but quite literally just a swath of what people actually look like and present as, and seeing even a little piece of yourself in someone with a platform matters, and it subconsciously tells you that you can do a thing. So like at the intersection of all of your identities, yeah, we're coming up on like, what is it, June? I don't know what date it is, but we're like, I think this is going to air June 30th, and like we're coming off of Juneteenth yesterday, and like it's Pride Month. I think Puerto Rican Day Parade was like the other day. Like you guys sort of like live at a lot of intersections. How does that impact like your creative spirit and like your output and sort of like the way that you see the world as artists?
I think for us, like we appreciate the months, but for me, it's Pride every month. It's
Yeah,
Juneteenth every single day. I'm
yeah,
always Black Power and educating myself and everybody else. I'm always proud to be Puerto Rican. So I think that the bigger thing is I'm always grateful for the months, but the work that we like to do is to not only celebrate it during the month that these corporate companies are celebrating it, but continuing to do the work and recognize it and continue to have these conversations 24/7, 300 and how many days?
65
days.
days.
all the days in the year, everything. And I think as creatives, I think that is what inspires me is that when we get to use our voice, because I remember a time where we used to be kind of afraid to use our voices because we thought we would like lose a bag, or we thought that like they make us think as Black women and as queer women that like
What Breezy's
me, but if they think that if you're just from a marginalized community that like your voice isn't heard or that you're being combative or you're complaining. But once I kind of unlearned all that and I realized that if people are looking for us for influence, it's our job to speak up for everybody else and create these spaces and to knock down these doors and take these risks.
Yep. And so, like, what's the word influencer? An influencer is not someone that just looks pretty and posts photos. That's not an influencer. And I used to shy away from the word influencer. I used to hate when people called us influencers because that word the definition was triggering because people thought influencer was someone that just like looked cute
on Instagram.
And then I realized an influencer is someone that is actually influencing people and shifting their minds and changing ways of things that they're doing. And like, for example, this is a proud moment that I have. There's a store called Showfields in Soho, and this is like the beginning of the pandemic, kind of like the middle of the pandemic. And they asked us to do one project. I think they asked us to do like a some virtual event, go live. They're a really cool marketplace, like kind of department store in Soho, where you have like mini shops inside. And for me, we were like, okay, this is a pandemic, so that means a lot of brands right now are losing sales. And then two, George Floyd just happened and everyone's awake now. not awake, but they're, quote unquote, waking up now. This is our chance.
And then number three, all the brands that originally they wanted us to showcase, none of them were black owned. So I didn't want any like part of that.
So we said, look, how can we use your platform and how can you guys use us? So together, the first initiative, we switched it and we said, hey, can we actually partner with you guys, use the space in your store and give an opportunity to 20 black owned companies to have retail space in Soho, New York for, it was 6 months. So 10, for 10 companies, it was for 3 months. And for 10 more companies, it was for 3 more months. And guess what? We shifted their whole company because these brands they're almost sold out of their products.
They have to keep 100% of their profits, and they didn't have to spend any money because they partnered with Showfields partnered with American Express to pay for the space
and to pay for the build out.
And the build out was like thousands of dollars that the brands did not have to pay for.
And like the work that we did, and it wasn't for us to be like to flex on Instagram, like, hey guys, these brands did hundreds of thousands of dollars and we did this. It was like we did have to share it, but we didn't flex the numbers because we didn't do it to flex and be influencers online. We did it because we knew that these companies needed retail space and they needed to make money. And also we shifted their business model because we opened their eyes and they were able to see something else that was needed in their space.
I think our biggest thing is just like creating the ecosystem.
For sure. Speaking of the ecosystem and speaking of like the word influence and what it means to be an influencer, really shifting culture, y'all are, I think, I'm not going to state this as fact, but from a consumer fan perspective, like y'all are one of the first like black luxury brands that I was aware of. Like I said, back to the MySpace days, right? And now there's like sort of a confluence of black luxury designers, and it's really wonderful to see a lot of black creators sort of like stepping into that power. Telfar and Brandon Blackwood and
Moss.
Yeah, you just like so many. What do you think is sort of like the benefit of finally like stepping into that realm and saying like, yeah, we're a luxury brand. Like this shit costs money like luxury do. Like Gucci costs money, Coco and Breezy costs money. And how do you feel about like black creators sort of like reclaiming that space and at the same time, like you said, like reshaping a paradigm, essentially, like creating a new ecosystem?
Well, first of all, I think all luxury brands get inspired by black culture, along with everything else in the world.
That part.
To everything. So we're just taking our shit back. That's the way I look at it.
Bet.
And I think the big part for us is that we're shifting what luxury means. Mm-hmm. Because when we first started our company, literally people used to say, they're like, your brand looks too urban because you have black people in your campaign. If you put more white models, it'll look more luxury. And so I think that the big part for us is that luxury doesn't mean the cost. It doesn't mean the person that's representing it. Luxury is like, for us, our designs are beautiful from the back to the front to every detail. The quality is amazing. And we always say we give a luxury experience at an accessible price point. Because if we look at our competitors, all of our optical glasses are around like $249, $250. And our competitors, for the same design and like in quality, their glasses are like $1,000. And so for us, it was important for us to give a super design experience and luxury experience, but like make the price point accessible.
So that way, it's interesting because our quality in our product, we could easily say $1,000. Our quality is so on par because everything is vertically integrated. We do everything in-house, from like the design, the cats, to the communication with the factory, things that a lot of people have middlemen and women. It's very rare that there's eyewear brands that do everything in-house, and we do everything in-house. And with our quality, the quality can be $500 to $1,000. We've had people tell us like they need to be more, but if we're changing the meaning of luxury, our meaning of luxury, like Coco said, is design, it's quality. But if we're thinking about our customers and we're thinking about the people who don't have access, who don't have thousands of dollars of money to spend, why can't we give them a luxury product at an accessible price point that's more affordable? And for us, a number doesn't mean luxury. And that's kind of the shift that we are making within our brand and our and the narrative about luxury.
Bet. What you talk a lot about music sort of being the usher and the conduit to other creative ideas, and obviously you guys, you design and you dance and you do a number of things. What is it that brought you sort of like back to music, I guess, as, I don't want to say revenue stream, but just like as an intentional practice, I guess we'll say.
So music has always been part of the goal. Like we were always like producing, we were always, kind of DJing. But I think that with our career, the eyewear company just kind of blew up faster than the music side. And so we had to like put a stop on the music for a little bit just to grow our company and grow our team and our brand. And then we said, all right, now we have more time to fully like dive deep into the music side. And so
the way I kind of look at it is that like everything's very intentional. So like eyewear heals your eyes, and our music heals your soul, and it all works hand in hand together. And it was important for us to even, of course, people know us as DJs, but we also produce and we put out a couple of songs that have done really well. And we're excited. It's just an extension of who we are, and people really get to feel our energy through our music.
Like I feel like when you listen to our songs, you like after you had, I don't know if you ever listened to it or not, but after you had this conversation with us and
Coco.
well, now you should re-listen to them and you'll feel the warm energy that we have.
I
You know,
will.
like
I already, to be quite clear, I already felt the warm energy.
It's like the warm energy, the layers, everything just makes sense.
Yeah, and so that's the fun part about like even from our DJ sets to the music to our eyewear and then we as people, it all kind of like has that same feeling.
Yeah.
And that's very intentional for us when we do it.
It all feels remarkably intentional. What brought you to producing? A lot of people get into, wanting to make music, and then sort of like stop short of producing. I think for us, like, you know, the main reason that we started the organization is to make people that weren't cisgendered men feel comfortable in the studio. Especially, I don't know if you guys know the stat, but it's something like 3% of producers are non-male, and I think this year is actually much lower than that. It's like some like 2.5% or something. Like the number is declining, and if
Wow.
you think about like how small of a number that is, and then think about the people that are getting like opportunities, like marquee opportunities, it's
Right.
even further. So that's why we started to begin with, right? It's just to make people feel comfortable in the studio, and sort of like try to move the lever on that number. Why did you guys want to start producing for yourselves?
I mean, one, we as DJs, the goal is to play our own music, so that's a big part. And it took us a while to really find our sound because again, like for we've been producing for a while, but the last I would say like couple years, we found like our sound. And we found our sound, we put our song Convo out and Convo it felt good. And so I think that yeah, it was like one, finding our sound, two, giving people a piece of us on the dance floor because we get to play our own shit.
Bet,
And like three, I think it's important to have like Black women in dance music.
bet. It's
Like first
ours
of all,
to begin with. We built it to in
yeah,
the
I was gonna
first
say we
place.
made dance music, and so
Yeah,
for us, I think it's cool because I'm a Leo, but I vision us being like
We're Leo. She likes to
we're
say
Leos.
yeah.
We're Leos. And I think the fun part about the music that we're making is like when you're making dance music and your hood homies fuck with it, that's how you know you're making some shit.
for sure.
I think that like my hood homies that don't listen to dance music, they'd be like, "So what is this shit?" And I'm like, "We made this. Like this is our music, but we have to retrain that that we like this. This is for us." But when you listen
Yeah.
to the radio, they don't play our us. And
Mhm.
so I think it's important for us is that we're finding this fine line with our dance music that it's very worldly, it's global. We're making global music, and
Like
everybody fucks
soulful.
with it, and it's soulful. You know what I'm saying? So I think
I
that it's
understand.
so important for us to like go in these spaces and open up space for our people to be able to come in that felt like they weren't invited. And these festivals that like our people are usually like, oh, I can't go to it. No, yes, you can. this is our music. We gotta enjoy it, you know?
And take our shit back.
Yeah.
Take that shit back. Yeah, that's why Afropunk is my favorite festival of all time. In fact,
Yep.
my first pair of Coco Breezes were lost to Afropunk on my 30th birthday.
Ah! That
Love
was
it.
about right.
What a
That's
way to go out, though, baby! I'll tell you what.
yes.
But yeah, like spaces like that where we sort of like redefine like our ideas of like blackness and like black art and black culture and black music, and it's easy to actually call it a redefinition, but what it really is as you said, a reclamation, right? Like all of this shit belongs to us. We built all of this. So to go in and reclaim those spaces for what they're meant to do is really powerful. Um, Final question. I ask it of everyone. You're looking and you're sitting down with your younger selves. What do you say?
If I were to look at my younger self right now, I would tell myself that everything's gonna be okay. Because I think that I used to be so insecure and I used to swear that everybody was judging me. But in reality, people were looking at me because I looked interesting. But I swore everybody was staring at me because I thought everyone was against me. And so I think that it's all about perspective. And now that I have the choice to choose my perspective of how I look at things in life. You can choose, it's like a fork in the road. You can choose the left side or the right side. And I think I chose the left side before where I thought the world was against me. And now I choose the right side where if someone says something that may be mean, or if someone says something that sounds like they're downing me, I just say, you know what, they just don't understand.
Or they may not be having a good day and it has nothing to do with you really. It's really just them, you know? And I would say what Breezy said to my younger self because we both kind of went through the same thing.
Mhm.
And I want to plug in some new stuff we have coming out too after this last question.
Yeah, please do.
Yeah, so I'm so stoked. We have this remix coming out on Friday. It's actually our first official remix that's dropping.
Yeah.
And it's Chantel Impossible. That song came out in 2010. That song bangs. The top line is crazy. And like the fun part that makes it so organic. So Universal Music Group, they're doing like a pride project where they got producers from the community to do this remix project. And Chantel is actually an old friend of ours. So when we saw her name in the song as a someone that we could choose for the remix, I was like, yo, this is so organic because she's been a long time friend of ours. Now we get to like remix this song that was like huge and bring it back. And when I tell you it bangs,
Yeah, it's a vibe.
it's such a vibe.
I
You
can't
know,
wait.
oh, I can play it for you when we get done recording. So if you
For
want to hear it.
show. That
Yeah.
is the exact like first day of summer carrying on I'm after. Thank you.
Yeah, so that comes out on the 25th, and then which I think it's gonna be out by the time this is out. And
Mhm.
then our song "You" that's featuring Don Richard. I'm stoked because Junior Sanchez, who's like a house legend, he remixed the song and it came out like a couple weeks ago. And so
That's
that was actually an
pop
honor
right
for us.
now. Yeah, that
Yeah,
is
that was such an honor that he
that
would.
is that's on my every playlist that I like. That shit is on so many of my playlists that it starts popping up with shit that don't even make sense. Playing like lullabies for my daughter and shit, and like here comes the Junior Sanchez pop, and I'm like,
I love it.
sorry, girl, that's my song right now.
Yes, yes. But yeah, so that's like those are the few things, and we're working on more. I think we'll be dropping some more singles this summer as well. But I'm just excited to share our music with the world. I'm excited to play for people. The other day we DJ'd and like had the shit turned. I can't wait to keep playing live. Like it's about to go crazy.
Yeah. It's,
Yo,
it's definitely an experience.
it's
Yeah.
a wonderful time to like start playing live again and sort of like relaunch music again, just because I think like the dearth of the pandemic and like the scarcity and like not just like being completely absent of vibes and like gathering again with your people, dancing, singing, hugging, touching. It's going to be a good time. So I'm glad. I can't wait. I'm gonna try to catch y'all on the road as much as I can.
Yes.
Coco, Breezy, y'all are my everything. I
Oh,
appreciate you so
thank
much.
you.
Thank you for everything that you do, everything that you represent, everything that you're up to for the community, for our people. It's big, 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 big love. Thank you for being here with us
Thank
today.
you.
So much.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, with great pleasure. And anything we can do to support you moving forward, we will. Femme House fam, Don't sleep on Coco and Breezy. Check out the remixes. Junior Sanchez one in particular is about Coco Breezy.
Check out our songs too.
Check all
Rich
the
the
songs.
fire too.
Tell us where to find you on Spotify and everywhere. Just tell us how
Yeah.
to.
So everything on Spotify, Instagram, social media is just Coco and Breezy. And it's Coco with COCO, not the COCOA.
Bet. Thank you.
Thank you.